Guys, I was talking with Helwani today. We were doing Ariel and the Bad Guy, and Helwani laid it out for Tyron Woodley, and it was not pleasant. But it also wasn't wrong. And I just hadn't realized it. This was all happening around me, and I didn't open my eyes well enough to see it. And here's what Ariel said. Listen, if Tyron Woodley gets beat, I would not at all be surprised if he gets cut. Okay, this is Ariel. And Ariel used as evidence Junior Dos Santos, Overeem. He said, a lot of people are forgetting this, but Tyron Woodley's 39 years old. To put that in perspective, he's GSP's age. No, as a matter of fact, to put in perspective, he's 3 months older than George St. Pierre. And Tyron does look so damn good. In fairness to Ariel, yes, I forgot that the years had crept up as well. But what Ariel is saying is that'll be a four-fight skid from a former champion who's simply not going to return to the top. What do we do with him? Well, you cut him. That's what history says. And that was a very cold splash of water in my face. I'm a Tyron fan. I'm a Tyron friend, but I used to also train with Tyron Woodley. I go back with Tyron in ways I've never talked to you guys about. But we used to share the practice room together. We used to punch and kick at one another. So it's one of these things, but I've also had a different interpretation of his career, particularly as of late, particularly since he lost the belt, than anybody else. I watched when he goes out and fights Darren Till, 2.5-1 underdog, goes out, not only beats Till, stops Till, draws into Usman. What'd we find out the night he fought Usman? That Usman's better. Okay, fine. So what? So Tyron's the second best fighter in the world. So then you start adding them up. But now it's a question. Now it's a mental question. How is he going to do returning to spots that don't have the same significance, meaning the title? How's he going to do rechasing the title as he did claiming the title, as he did defending the title? Fair questions, tough spot to be in your career. And this is what he got faced with. He got absolute hammers. Gilbert Burns comes to mind. Colby Covington comes to mind. But he dealt with a lot of stuff, and a lot of positives came from those fights. I mean, particularly the Gilbert Burns. I mean, Gilbert Burns hits Tyron, puts him down, follows him to the ground, transitions to a full mount 26 seconds into the fight. Tyron Woodley found a way to fight him another 24.5 minutes. That's a positive. That's a tough son of a bitch right there that had grit, that had mental toughness. Tyron, in that same fight, was down 4 rounds. It's 4 rounds to none going into the 5th. Why show up for the 5th? What's the point? This is over. You're down. This fight is over. Tyron Woodley went out and grounded out, and he tried to win that fight. That's why he went out for the 5th. He was going to go stop him. He was going to win the fight. And that shows heart, and it shows grit. I mean, I can tell you, those are some of the last things to go. Tyron still got it. Luque is a tough night out. And mentally, it's going to be interesting to see the approach of Tyron. If he looks at Luque and says, well, you're not as decorated as my last opponents, and therefore it's hard for me to get motivated enough for you, we got a problem. We got a big problem. I'll tell you what I like about the match. I like that it's 3 rounds. This is significantly easier than anything Tyron Woodley has done or been asked to do in the last 6 years. Significantly easier. A worst case scenario, which is what you plan and prep for, is I got to be here all night long, and it's a damn long night. Well, a worst case scenario here, he's out there 70% of the time that he's used to being out there. I only bring that to you because Tyron Woodley is such an explosion athlete. He has to calculate a strategy to hold that energy, to hold some of those explosions in case he needs them 20 minutes from now. So it's a very different spot. And if Tyron just goes out and lets it go, I mean, we're going to see, I think we could really see Tyron physically at his best. But I've really never questioned his physical abilities. It's a tough weight class. He fought some tough guys. He beat a whole bunch of them, and he slid to a couple in a row. So what? I got no problem with it. This is not, I don't know that I love the comparison that Ariel made to putting a Junior Dos Santos in there, by the way. I mean, Junior was getting finished, and he was getting finished relatively quickly. That's simply not what's happening with Tyron Woodley. Is it a must-win situation? Yeah, I think Ariel's right. I think that's fair. I think that's tough, but I don't think it's inaccurate. Does Tyron have a great way to win this? Yeah, you bet he does. And I'll tell you something else. And Luque's that's a tough opponent. Luque's been on my radar for a while. Vincent Luque is a very, very tough guy. He doesn't have the same level of wrestling as T. Wood. Now, T. Wood years ago fell in love with his right hand. And it's a very common thing in golf. A golfer will fall in love with his swing, but T. Wood has fallen in love with his right hand. That's okay. I just want to remind T Wood, while there's still a couple of hours and days left to remind T Wood, he's an All-American wrestler. He's taking on a guy who's never put on a singlet, who doesn't own a pair of headgear. You go take this guy down anytime you want. That is basic logic, and you know that, and that's why you got into the sport. That's why you came to the sport having a belief that I've got a big arsenal behind me, because that's how effective and dominant wrestling is and has always been. It's how you lost your championship. It's how you can get on the road to getting your championship back, and it's the road to beating Luque. T. Wood, remember who you are.